Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Hey, good afternoon everybody. It's Sunday afternoon and it's a brilliantly blue day today. Sun's out. It's been absolutely wonderful. Still a little bit cold, but hey, Militia Man and Crew is still here. And we're going to get into some news. I think that you guys will appreciate it. If you've been paying attention today, you're probably going to go, wow, Samson's been knocking it out of the park once again. And by the way, Gigi has been keeping our room exceptionally well, and I want to thank her. And I want all the people behind the scenes. I want to wish Pumpy Peter safe travels. And same with Petra. He's been with family, which is a good thing. We all need to do that and have some downtime. And I just hope that you guys will enjoy this news today, and I think you'll appreciate it. So here we're going to start off with an article. It says, will spending be disrupted by delaying the budget amendment? A government advisor explains. This was yesterday. But anyway, the reason why it's kind of important, because it'll kind of set the stage. Financial advisor to the Prime Minister, Mohammed Saleh, explains that the disbursement mechanism in the event that the amendment to the financial budget law is not approved. So he goes on. There's a legal rule that stipulates the special law restricts the general law, and since the federal general budget law number 13 of 2023 is the basis for the legislation for the state budget for the year 2025, within the scope of the federal general budget legislation is specialized for 3 years. So, and I think you all know that. There's no other text that adds to the suspension of work on it. So in other words, they have to keep moving forward. There's nothing on that. They have to keep doing it. So that's really good. He says, I also do not see that one article, which is 7.7/2, related to submitting tables related to estimates for implementing the 2025 budget, and according to the required adjustments, will restrict work in implementing the general budget originally legislated back in 2023, and resorting to the law number 6 of the 2019 as amended. That's the federal financial management law. So he says, despite that, we do not see anything that hinders the submission of the state's general budget tables for the year 2025, as the financial authority has the ability and sufficient tools to submit them in the appropriate coming period. Of course, we don't know what that means, coming period. And according to a broad technical consultation circle between the executive and legislative authorities in a manner that serves the national interest of the country and the government program. And he goes on and says, except for the amendment currently before the House of the Representatives. And obviously, there is a amendment that we've been waiting for. I think that's Article 12/2, or the second, and paragraph C. And they haven't exposed that yet. And there's probably good reason for it. I think they can't until Al does something that we all hope for. So we're going to find out if that's the case, because this gentleman is pretty powerful. He's very well respected, and we try to bring the most accurate information to patreon.com/MM&C, and you guys can decide. But the next article is praises for the Baghdad International Dialogue, strengthening Iraq's pivotal role. It says the 7th Baghdad International Dialogue represents an important annual gathering that reflects Iraq's pivotal role in strengthening regional dialogue by hosting an elite group of thinkers and decision makers in the region and in the world. Highlighted by who? Shia al-Sudani. It says it is nice for Iraq to be the focus of this dialogue. So Iraq is a focus for these the region and the world. It says that the Baghdad International Dialogue reflects Iraq's ability to host major events and constitutes a meeting point for visions supporting security and development in the region and the world. That's Al-Alaq's quote from Central Bank Governor. It says the activities of the 7th Baghdad International Dialogue will be launched in the participation of an elite group of political and economic and in addition to academic figures from inside and outside of Iraq, and that's going to happen in a couple weeks. So keep that in mind. But the bottom line is that for them to have those folks show up, I think that this time around, I think they're going to have something else done, because we all remember Kuwait, right? The Kuwait conference, there was tens of billions of dollars that were to be invested, hoping for Iraq to do what they're about to do now. And now we even have far more money on the table than that. And you can see by the United States' interest, the UK's interest, Europe's interest, China's interest, all of those things, and more. So it says Al-Sudani calls on American companies to participate in the development renaissance in Iraq. So what is renaissance? I think you guys all know what renaissance is creating anew. It says that Shia al-Sudani today, it says that he calls on American companies to participate in the development renaissance that Iraq is witnessing, stressing that the investment environment in the country is attractive and business friendly. That's even under all the circumstances you guys see in the Middle East. They're still focused in on this. Okay. Al-Sudani's media's office speaks today. It says they received the head of the Iraqi American Business Council, the vice president of the American Chamber of Commerce, Steve Lutz. You might want to Google that guy and see what he's been up to. The meeting witnessed a review of trade and cooperation relations between Iraq and the United States, and efforts to prepare for the American Companies Representatives Forum, which will be held in Iraq this year. It sounds like they got about 18 agreements and memorandums of understanding that they're going to go over, or they already did last year. So it's interesting to see that the wheels of progress are still moving. It says Al-Sudani praised Lotus efforts in sponsoring and holding forums and meetings especially with the private sector, stressing that the government has made significant progress in various aspects of the economic reform and its digital, commercial, and banking transformation. The commercial means doing business. Banking transformation, that's the finance department there. He points out that the efforts are being made to legislate the intellectual property law and introduce this concept into school curricula in order to keep pace with global commercial development. So they want to get their kids up and running as well. So it's pretty cool. Sudani explains that the economic reforms have raised the level of foreign investments in Iraq. American companies are invited to participate in the development renaissance. Al-Sudani praised Lotus efforts in sponsoring and holding forums and meetings, especially with the Iraqi private sector, stressing that the government has made significant progress in various aspects of economic reform and digital, commercial, and banking transformation. That's basically just doing business. It's going to be doing business across borders. Banking transformation, it's going to be doing the same. He points out that the efforts are being made to legislate the intellectual property law and introduce this concept into school curricula in order to keep pace with the global commercial development. Look, they have a huge youth population, and they're going to be teaching their kids what the big world's really going to be about and what it's going to be like, and they're going to need a lot of support in that. And I think kudos on them. It says Al-Sudani explains that the economic reforms that they've done so far have raised the level of foreign investments in Iraq, that American companies are invited to participate in a development renaissance that Iraq is witnessing, and the attractive and business-friendly investment environment. For his part, Lotus praised the efforts of the Iraqi government in the field of reform, stressing that the desire of many American companies to enter the Iraqi market, establish promising partnerships with the Iraqi private sector, and contribute to development and expansion of commercial and investment activities. So you can see that he's ready to go. And I think the stage has been set. I think that's powerful stuff. It says to me that we haven't seen any of this before. These aren't coincidences that are going on, and you find that this stuff is coming out today. It's really fascinating. It's all by design as far as I'm concerned. Look, they've been working at this plan for years, and they finally are getting to that stage where they're even talking about made in America coming to Iraq. So isn't that's business interest, is it not? Yeah, sure it is. So here's a snippet from a different article, but it says the central bank discusses with the Americans the process of Iraq's transition to work through correspondent banks. But we all know about that. But he's reiterating it. He says that the two parties discussed the mechanisms for international trade and the process of Iraq's transition to full work in external transfers through correspondent banks. That reeks of the Forex market to me. We'll see. It says, Alak stresses that the Central Bank of Iraq supports the process of economic growth in Iraq and provides the necessary support to international companies that wish to invest in Iraq, including American companies and banks. The importance of diversity in investment sectors. You got to go that, wow, that's an eye-opener. Business is getting ready to go. So here the central bank discusses with these American companies the process of Iraq's transition work through correspondent banks. So Alak, he says, the process of Iraq's transition to work through these correspondent banks. He says the upcoming visit of the delegation of the Central Bank of Iraq to Washington and their meeting with the American Chamber of Commerce and American companies are going to happen in next April. It says these two parties discussed the mechanisms for international trade and the process of Iraq's transition to full work in external transfers through correspondent banks. The Central Bank of Iraq supports the process of economic growth in Iraq and provides necessary support to international companies that wish to invest in Iraq, including American companies. The importance of diversity in these sectors. So here it is. This is a fascinating article that just kind of probably hits things home too. The Minister of Trade calls for holding a Made in America exhibition in Iraq and the presence of American companies at this exhibition that we mentioned, okay? It says the Vice President of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Chairman of the Iraqi American Business Council, Steve Lutz. It says the accompanying delegation, it's on ways to enhance economic trade and relations between Iraq and the United States. It says the minister stressed during the meetings Iraq's keenness to strengthen its economic relations with the United States within the framework of the government's orientation towards approving and implementing economic reforms to improve the business and investment environment. Al-Fariri, he pointed out, according to the statement, the exceptional efforts made by the ministry in coordination with the government's agencies to hold the third round of negotiation for Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization after 16 years. It says, as Iraq submitted files for goods and services and reviewed economic reforms, including the legislation of the intellectual property law. It says Iraq seeks to simplify the procedures for the work of the American companies inside the country, support trade and investment between the two countries, referring to the self-sufficiency in local wheat during the past 2 years, the continuation of work on the memoranda of understanding signed with the American side related to the country's needs. He called on American companies to hold a, quote, Made in America exhibition inside Iraq and organize a forum between the Iraqi and American private sectors and review investment opportunities and available projects and hope that American companies would be present in the sessions of the Baghdad International Fair. And it goes on to say that they're going to have a visit at specific time frames, and obviously the two parties agreed to enhance cooperation to expand the business base and strengthen economic and trade relations in ways that serves the common interests of both countries. So look, basically what this one paragraph came up with was the one with Al-Ferrari, pointing out that according to the statement, exceptional efforts made by the ministry in coordination with government agencies to hold the third round of negotiations for Iraq's accession to the World Trade Organization after 16 years, as Iraq submitted files for goods and services and reviewed economic reforms, including the legislation of intellectual property law. I think you guys can all get the picture. If the United States thinks the security and stability is going to be good, they're going to be there. And if we know that the economic reforms are underway, and we all know that there's certain things that are still missing, and I think Al-Alaq has that that push button. I think that's about where we are, because you haven't seen that 12(2)(c) amendment yet, have you? No, you haven't. And there's a reason for that. It's because they can't, because they're going to have to expose that at or around the same time Al-Alaq does what he needs to do. That's my view on it. I hope you guys see it, agree with it. If you don't, tell me where we're wrong. But anyway, the good part is it looks like it's coming to the forefront. We have to watch, we have to wait, we have to see, because what they do. And that's what we report. We bring the news. And then that's the best I can give you guys. So anyway, I hope you enjoy. If you do, again, hey, like, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. You have a great weekend. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.